We're sitting here with, this is Dorothy Bird, a longtime acquaintance, even to the form of feeling family. And I've come to her house to have another look back at the history of Romulus, the city and the areas of Romulus that has grown from the times that Mrs. Byrd has gotten here. And we're just going to discuss some of the things that we've done and things that she's accomplished, and she's beneficial in the betterment of our community. So, Dorothy, take us back to the days when you first came, and I can recall some of those days, but take us back to the days that you started what we call the struggle, our area neighborhood known as Jones Sub.
Yes. Well, that was in the year 1969 when urban renewal mandated that, the federal government rather, mandated that we could have urban renewal. And it was mandated by the federal government, and the people that lived in the community were asked to form a committee to help plan our section of the city. So we did. There was a director named George Wilhelmy who had an assistant named Tyrone Phoenix, my son, and then there was Mary Carter, the secretary. Mary and George combed the entire north end of Romulus, and they picked out the area that should first be considered for renewal. Well, most of us felt like it was not urban renewal, but black man's removal. And some of us still feel that today. But however, we met, and of course we had to have, we formed ourselves, and we had to have a chairperson and secretary, treasurer, and etc. Well, Reverend Washington had been elected the chairperson, and I was his assistant. Well, shortly after he became the chairperson, he suffered a stroke, and that left me to have to take the helm. And that was in the year of 1969. Well, we planned, the first part of the planning was on the far northeast corner, and they began to put in the sewer lines, and everything that they did, we chose the engineer company. We really had a great input into it. Now, before that, the city government had to vote to approve it. And at that time, there were 7 council persons. The mayor had said that he was going to veto it unless it was at least 4 people. So, at the time, that was Mayor Carmichael. He was our first mayor. And we had voted in 1970 to become a city with a mayor and council persons. So the mayor had said he was going to veto it. For what reasons we never did find out, but he was going to veto it. I remember we sat up many, many nights down at the building we called the Water Board building. Mr. Coleman was our chairperson of the American Progressive Association.
Remember him very well.
And you remember there was Perry Gray.
Very great. Okay.
And there was you, Oliver.
Right.
And there was Stonewall Whitworth. And there was Reverend Darden. There was Gene Wilson, was very active in the community, but he was not a member of the council.
Right.
But he supported us. But the most important person on that city council was Mr. Jimmy Raspberry.
Okay.
And we would go, we'd go down there, and we would talk and talk and talk and ask them to give us a vote. and they always said no. Well, there was there was 3 people that voted for it, but there were 2 more that we wanted to vote for it. And one of them was, would you believe it, Bill Oakley.
Okay.
Remember?
Right, I do.
And the other one was Jimmy Stewart.
Okay, I remember
And the
that.
other one was Junior Block.
Okay.
Okay, Jimmy Stewart he refused. He said he was not going to vote for it.
Okay.
But we finally got Oakley to agree to vote for it.
Okay.
And that made 4 members that was voting for it. At that time, Brooker Edwards was a member of the city council, too. And Pennington.
Yes, Mr. Pennington.
So we had 3 votes in our pocket, but we felt we needed at least 5 so that the mayor could not veto it.
Right.
So when we talked Oakley into voting in our favor, then we didn't have a problem because Junior Block came right in behind Oakley.
Okay.
And that's the way they voted to allow us to begin looking into forming our community. So now you remember the first thing they did was put in the sewers?
Yes, I do remember that. That was under the Citizen District Council.
Yes, we changed the name to the Citizens District Council, and that was in 1970. We formed ourselves in 1969, but in 1970 we became the Citizens District Council. And during the interim, while we were struggling and working with the northeast corner, then there was a project that wanted to be formed on Wayne Road, which now is Woodside Square.
Okay.
And the developer, we wouldn't let him come in until we were sure that he was going to put quality housing there. Well, it's not of the best, but it has withstood the years.
Yes, it has. It's still there.
But we were the ones that were responsible. We went on tours to Pontiac and various cities and looked at other communities that had been built, and we decided that we did not want all of the buildings crammed together like it is over in Inkster, which now they call Lamone Gardens.
Right.
And the other section, I don't know what they call it, but most people call it Saigon.
Yeah, right.
And North Korea.
Yeah, Korea.
But anyway, you know, we fought and fought and fought until we got the right developer to develop Woodside Square.
Right. Okay.
Remember?
I remember that.
Now that property had belonged to Mr. Tyndall.
Tyndall.
Remember?
Mr. Tyndall.
But they acquired that property from Mr. Tyndall, and Woodside Square became a reality. And the people, the funny thing about it is, there's very few of us left now, you know.
Okay, that's for sure. It's been a while back, and there's not too many left now to recall those days.
And they don't even know the struggle that we went through to get that housing there for them.
That's it.
And now let's go down, Oliver, let's go down memory lane to after the sewers were in. And we would meet over at the APA Center.
Yeah, right.
And whenever there a great problem arose and we needed the city to back us, then we would invite them to come to our meetings.
Right, I remember those.
But one thing I can say, there was lots of men that belonged to the Citizens District Council. And I didn't have a problem because I was the chairperson, it's true. But all of the men supported me.
Okay.
I felt like they were all my brothers. We met many nights, and we chose the buildings that's down there now. We said we did not want those people stacked in like sardines, because when you get a crowd of people in any given place, it always creates a problem, even in your own home. If you have a large family, the children are going to disagree, and there's going to be a dissension, and there's going to be fights, and things like that. So you know, in a community where there's not relations, there's going to be such things as that. So we didn't want that.
That's it.
And thankfully, we don't even have that today.
And I think our planning at that time, when we petitioned for the public housing, and it was mentioned at that time that we put the public housing all in one spot.
Yeah.
And we fought that to say that, no, scatter the public housing around. In the event that other homes are built, it won't look like a public housing community.
Right.
And I think we did a model display of a community by allowing the public housing to be intermingled with individual homes. And we haven't had the problems that most cities have by grouping their public housing together. And I think that our end of the city here is matches any community in Wayne County, if not the state of Michigan, as a model city. In fact, we did get we got a citation from Lansing, from the mayor of Detroit, and somewhere else.
All sorts of proclamations.
Proclamations, proclamations we had. Yeah, and I felt real proud that we accomplished that, and we were recognized in the state of Michigan. You know, the little town of Romulus was recognized in the state of Michigan for having a community plan that is works in conjunction with all types of building structures.
And believe me, it was not easy.
Not easy.
We struggled many, many, many nights. And incidentally, no one was paid. None of us received one dime for all of those nights that we spent. I was working at the University of Michigan, and I would come home from work and grab a bite to eat, and we would head out to the meetings. And the meetings were not just an hour or 2 hours.
Boy.
Sometimes we met late into the night, because if a problem arose, we didn't just say, well, it's time to go home.
Okay.
We stayed right there until we got that problem solved.
That's it.
And Wade and Trim had been selected to be our engineers. And we approached them about hiring people in our community. And they attempted to hire some, but they weren't too successful because most of the people at that time had jobs.
That's it.
And those few that didn't have jobs didn't want to do that type of work. But I'm thankful today because George Wilhelmy went through the community and marked the houses that had to come down. And finally, we could see the effects of the houses being moved and taken down. And for many years, it looked as though it was just going to be public housing.
True.
And they said, oh, nobody would want to build a house in those neighborhoods because it would recognize it as public housing. But those houses, units rather, have blended right in to what people have come there and built nice looking homes. And the community has grown as a result. So we're proud because we're the ones that caused Romulus to get a good tax base down here. You know that?
For sure.
Yes.
For sure.
Nobody's living down here without paying their taxes. There's lots of things that still need to be addressed. But at least everybody down here, if you see them still living in a house, and especially since England changed the thing about your taxes, It used to be you had 4 years, but now in 2 years they take your property.
That's it.
And so it's not as easy as it was then to hold on to this property.
True.
But thankfully we have been able to survive and hold on to the property.
I'll say, for sure. Yeah, and again, you know, I can't overemphasize that the way our community looks now compared to what it looked like before even the public housing was built. You could almost get lost in it now.
Yeah.
And again, we will address this again at your birthday party.
Well,
when you have your birthday party, we're going to address it again.
Okay.
If you get where I'm coming from, because I meant to mention that later, but yeah, as the we will have spokespersons there also in recognition of your achievements in the city.
Well, could we name those 5 streets?
Yes, that's
park?
one thing. Yes, that's one thing I was going to get to, which was something that most states and cities name streets, you know, from the governmental end of it.
Yes.
But just go ahead and tell me.
Okay, now let me see. When we were meeting about that, we were told that Edison would name the streets. And I remember saying, oh no, this is our community. And we're not going to let Edison or anyone else come in here and name a street. And we have people that have left a legacy here, all of our people that have gone on and left a legacy in this city, has built this APA Center and has built the community. And so we want to name these streets after people that have left a legacy.
Okay,
and we all stood firm on that. And George Wilhelmy went back and told them, said, well, they're determined to do that. And we said, and besides that, we're going to name the park after our only war dead.
Okay.
And they agreed. So then we named the streets. Let me see, we named one after Judge Hazel Harrison.
Okay.
Then we named a street after Irene Martin, who was a very strong community person.
True.
Then there was Joel Hurst, who was another. He had this white front grocery store up at the corner of Vinewood and Wayne Road. Then there was the Hearst, which was named, I said the Hearst, the Beanhams.
The Beanhams, okay.
Beanhams.
Okay.
We had the Beanham Court, the Beanhams, and the Beanhams was an old family.
Oh boy.
And many of them that stood strong in the community.
One of the first that moved into the community back in the 30s, I think it was. Yeah.
So we named, and then there was my pastor, who was Elder Horace Jackson, who founded the Bethany Apostolic Faith Church there on Beverly Road. Okay. And when we began to name the streets, we had the plans. We saw how the streets were going to be cut out. So we said, everybody was deciding which we'd name a street here and there. And I said, I don't care what street you name. That one running behind the church where I attend is going to be named after my pastor, Horace Jackson. You know, all the men agree. Nobody said, oh, no. True. Everybody agreed. Right. We were the most unified group of people you would ever want to see.
We did work very well together, and I'll tell you, there wasn't the controversial arguments between the infighting as there was with, as I said, the struggle with getting city government to agree with our demands, and it was carried through.
So we named that park after Eugenio Fernandez, our only Vietnam War dead. So we felt like we had made quite an accomplishment. So then when we were going to, at the close of the project, we thought that was just going to be phase 1, and we'd go into phase 2 and into phase 3.
Yeah. That was a letdown, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yes, it was.
So when they told us that there would no longer be any funds to continue on with the rest of the phases, then we decided, okay, we'll name those parks, and we'll get this book. And we did. Mrs. Beanham said, "Let's name the book The Struggle."
The Struggle.
We had struggle,
Hey,
and we got that book started, and we got subscriptions, and we contacted so many congressmen and senators and people from Lansing and people just in the city of Detroit. Then we had a nice. We marched through the park.
Okay.
Marched all the way to the park, from Chamberlain all the way out to Beverly Road, and from Beverly Road all the way down to the park.
Okay.
And we named every street. And the thing that I like about it, it went into Washington as the Urban Renewal Plan. And that plan cannot be changed. So those streets in that park will remain those names forever.
Okay, it'll be a legacy that will live with
the Citizens
that area
District
there.
Council was responsible for doing it.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
And this is something that the new people moving into the area, when new people move in, they move in not looking back at how that got there. And that's the reason why I'm trying to do this documentary, in order to inform the people that they are living very comfortable through a struggle.
That's right.
And that's something that I feel that recognition has to be given to our little community, the same as the state of Michigan or the United States, because every little community makes up the whole country, and makes up a county, and makes up a state, and it makes up a country. And to have a community that has a legacy of accomplishments, I think we've done it. You know, and we're not through, but we've done some things that I think other communities would envy.
They should take a look at us even now. They should come out here and take a look, because those public houses are still standing good and strong and firm. Woodside Square is still, and they have kept it, both of those units. They have kept those units up nice.
Very good.
And there's nothing to be ashamed of if for people living in them, because they don't have to worry about cutting their grass, indoor, outdoor maintenance and things like that. And they're nice communities.
Yes, they are.
Yes.
They really are. I'll say. And then, you know, I would like to delve into a little more of your history by the way that you came into the APA and contributed to APA and Citizen District Council and in the public housing. What prepared you, you know, to be more or less compatible with what we've accomplished and what we've done, and your input into the Citizen District Council and the APA that nobody objected to, you know, and that was like you had already been into that sort of structuring.
I had never had any experience with the public. I was just a citizen of the community. I had a job at the University of Michigan. I was an avid church goer and a family person, and that was it. But when the call was made, I went to the first meeting just to represent my church. And ended up becoming the chairperson. So when I went I used to support the APA, like I would go to functions that they had, and even before they built the building that is standing today, when they were asking for donations for the cinder blocks.
Okay.
I was coming in and out of the community, and that was during World War II.
Okay.
I would buy some of the cinder blocks, give them money. They were 15 cents a piece. And I would give them money on the cinder blocks, but I had no interest. I just did it, you know, because someone asked me for some donations. But then after we became the Citizens District Council, and I began to get the vision, that's when I became motivated into really working in the community. So I went to the APA, and I requested to become, I was a member, but I was not I was not an active member. So I asked them to let me be the chairman of the Building Fund Committee.
Okay.
Because I had a dream, and I wanted to see the city look upon our end of town and say, "My, what," with admiration.
Okay.
And I wanted the people in our end of town to be motivated and to look upon us themselves as someone, be proud of us. So when they made me the chairman of the Building Fund Committee, then that's ideas. I knew it was I haven't said this too many times, but I knew that God had put his approval on it, because sometimes at night I would be asleep and I would wake up with an idea, and I would jump up and write it down and go back to sleep. And the struggle when we got those, all of those ads, I laid those ads out in that book myself, page by page. And when Dr. Wright from the Afro-American Museum, him and his wife assisted us because he was a good friend of Mr. Coleman's. I would send my material to them, and she would look it over and say, "There's nothing I can do, just take it on." So that, and I wrote many, many letters. I wrote letters to every councilman we had in Washington and the senators. I wrote letters to Lansing, and I had no letter writing experience, but somehow the words would come. And I was able to write letters and receive answers from those people. Many, many answers came in. Telegrams when we were ready to have our final celebration. Telegrams came from all directions. Congratulating us on the closing of our phase 1. And that was really a glorious day.
For sure.
But one thing we did that stands out. The building is named the Thomas J. Coleman Community Center. Well, Mr. Coleman was a great orator. And one night while he was up talking, I wrote on the top of it, "If you want this building named after Mr. Coleman, sign your name." And everybody, we passed it around. He wasn't paying any attention. We passed it around, and everybody signed it. So the night that we closed out, Mr. Coleman was up on the podium with me, and I was talking, and he was trying to help me to talk, which he did quite a bit. And I would say, "Wait a minute, Mr. Coleman," and he would shut up. Because he was a very respectful man.
Yes, he was.
He was my mentor. And then I would say something else, and he would try, "I said, Mr. Coleman." And but I could see he was really becoming frustrated. So I pulled out this petition and read it. That the center would be named in his honor. And that was the highlight of our whole project. Because there was no one else more worthy to have that center named for them than Mr. Coleman.
I'll tell you, for sure.
It was a grand day.
It was a memory to never forget. And and to see the results of what happened at that time, to see the end product, and to go through the neighborhood and with a bigger smile than we've ever had after, moving into an area that, as I said, had no water, no sewers, and
no street
no
lights,
street lights,
muddy roads.
Muddy roads. Oh, I'll tell you.
In the winter when it was snow and the freeze, and then when the thaw came, it'd be so much mud till people had to park their cars down on Wayne Road.
On Wayne Road and Van Born Road.
And walk
into their homes, yeah. They
have
did.
to go a mile to get a bucket of water.
Oh, yeah.
Pump that, prime them, those pumps, and pump that water till we would get it. We'd have the kids pumping it, we'd prime it, and then because they could jump up and down.
Well, I can remember going out to Michigan Avenue on Howe Road to the county road commission there, and getting our water there, and bringing it home for drinking and washing clothes, and
washed it in a tin tub,
and
a rug board. And we didn't have nothing really. And when Grossman put these houses up, all he did was put the shell.
That's okay.
And we had to complete them.
Okay, yeah.
And then the people that we bought the shells from him and completed the homes. Okay. But now a lot of the people in this community came out here and built their own homes.
Built their own homes, yeah.
They come out here in the summer and work and stay and work on those homes, and maybe if it got too cold, they'd go back, and when spring come, they'd come back.
Come back, that's it.
And that's what built our community.
For sure. I see you've got some books here, which is, well, let's see.
Let me see what do you want to go for?
Okay, I guess, okay, this one for sure. It's a certificate of recognition in 1988 from Jesse Jackson Leadership Circle.
Yeah.
Tell me what relationship was that brought on for?
Well, Jesse Jackson came up after the assassination of Martin Luther King. In fact, he was with him when he was assassinated.
Right.
So, and Martin Luther King had done so much to help us
with
the civil rights struggle. And when I first went to work, you had to tip and whisper. You couldn't talk about what was going on and how we were treated.
Okay.
But when Martin Luther King came on the scene, and we began to get some recognition, with people suffered. You talking about suffering? People suffered a while back there then.
Right.
I remember I was a desk clerk at that time, and one of the ladies was standing at my desk, and we were discussing about how they was putting those dogs on the people down south. And I said, oh, it's a shame. And my head nurse, she always wanted to know what we were talking about. So as soon as someone come to my desk, she had business over there, like she's looking for something. So she said to me, she heard me say, oh, it's a shame. She said, what's a shame? I said, the way they're doing my people down south. She said, oh, I don't believe that. I said, of course you don't, you're white. And it scared me. Because I thought I was going to lose my job. But that woman really helped me to develop into a speaker. Because she would come down the aisle. Her name was Miss Hanson. And she would already have on her mind what she was going to say to you. And she would say it and walk away real fast. And you wouldn't have a chance to retaliate or nothing. And so I watched her, and I would see her coming. And I knew she was coming to make a complaint. So in my mind, I began to get ready for her. So when she'd come and make a complaint on me, And she'd always finish up saying, "I think more of you." I said, "Okay,
Okay.
I'll fix this." So when she'd come down and say something to me, I always had an answer. That's how I answered her back.
Okay.
And she went over and said to the rest of the nurses in the nursing station, she said, "Gee, Dorothy's upset about this thing too."
Okay.
And then I heard them talking. They said, "Well, we didn't realize that it was that bad."
Okay.
And they begin to look at that situation, and their attitudes changed toward me.
Okay. Okay. Oh.
Yeah. So then, see, Jesse Jackson came up behind Martin Luther King, and he had this Rainbow Coalition, and I sent him donations.
Okay.
And so that's the reason they were looking for people all over the country, because you know the Black Panthers had risen up and had tried to feed the kids before going to school, and everything that they did was a negative thing as far as the country and the government was concerned. And you know how they killed some of them in their beds, bust in on them and did all these things. So when Jesse Jackson came up with this Rainbow Coalition, it wasn't just for blacks. It was for the Hispanics and the Mexicans and all of the minorities. And I supported him. So that's how he made me one of in the leadership circle.
Okay. Wow. Hey, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Oh. Could you add?
Let me see
okay.
here. Let me go here. Let's see this. It's that largest envelope over there. On top of it. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Now, so then in my career, I voted a Democrat. I'm a Democrat, and I'm proud of it.
Okay.
And I have been voting since 1940. I voted for President Roosevelt.
Okay.
And I have never missed an election. I have never missed a school board election, because I believe in having my voice heard and my vote counted.
That's for sure.
So, no Democrat had ever approached me about sending them a donation. But they said when Bill Clinton came on the scene, I began to get letters.
Okay.
And they warned me and that I would not be able to use the funds that I donated for
Tax purpose.
tax purposes.
Okay.
But I said, I don't care. I'm going to support this man. And to this day, I am still proud that I supported him. Because he left the office with over $1 trillion surplus. And now we're billions of dollars in debt.
$1 trillion there too, yeah.
So I'm still proud of him. Now they impeached him for lying about his personal life.
Okay.
But what are they saying about this man that told that lie about weapons of mass destruction?
Okay.
And all of those liars down there now, they're not saying a word about they need to be impeached too. And if it was left up to me, I would have them tried for war crimes. Because that's what it is. Got all of our young people. And it's the class of people that is over there dying. These youngsters did not want to go to war to lose their lives and to fight for their country. They joined because they were told that if they went in and spent 4 to 6 years, they would, when they come out, they would receive a sum of money and they could go to college. And that's what they went. That was their main thrust in going to the war, to the services, because they didn't know that this war was going to come. But I continued to support Bill Clinton. And I want to read to you this, because this is very important. It says, the Presidential Inaugural Committee requests the honor of your presence to attend and participate in the inauguration of William Jefferson Clinton as President of the United States of America and Albert Gore Jr. as Vice President of the United States of America on Monday, the 20th of January, 1997, in the city of Washington. And they didn't only send me an invitation to the inauguration, they sent the whole itinerary of everything, the calendar of public events.
Okay.
And they sent everything to me. So I'm keeping it.
Well, sure.
It's and the seal is on it in gold. You see that?
I see that. I was looking at that
yes.
at the beginning of that, and that's
now here's something else. I remember hearing one of the news commentators laughing about the Clintons was only going to send 300 Christmas cards.
Oh, okay.
Do you know I was one of the 300?
One of the 300.
Every year that the Clintons was in the White House, there's the seal again.
Okay, for sure.
See it?
Yeah.
They sent me a Christmas card with Bill Clinton and Hillary Rodham Clinton's sign.
That is the original signature.
I'm keeping these. I think I have 7. Every year they sent me a Christmas card. Every year. Now I want somebody that lives in Romulus to challenge me on these things. That's why I'm showing you. I want somebody to say, well, I don't believe Mrs. Byrd, or I don't believe Dorothy. She's just talking. I got the proof.
Okay, for sure.
And one day, although they don't give him very much respect and credit now, but one day this is going to be a great man in history.
Oh, yeah.
And these things are going to be worth something. I'm leaving them to my kids.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because they're going to be worth something one day.
That's for sure. Everybody.
And this is not the only. I got it. I just brought one to show you. I got both times that he was inaugurated. I got the invitation.
You got the invitation.
Yes. Sir.
Well, I'll tell you, something to be very, very proud of.
Yes.
Of a president who has left a mark on the country that can very hardly be, matched with other governments.
Let me just read this. You see whose name is at the head of that.
Okay. Mr. Bill Clinton.
All right.
Okay.
It
President
says,
Bill Clinton,
Dear Dorothy Bird, as I look back over my first term as president, I know that my most precious asset has been the support and loyalty of the men and women of this great nation who share my dedication to creating an American society where every citizen is valued. Your generous contribution is a vote of confidence in this administration. I am personally honored by your support and wish to extend my appreciation for your continuing commitment. As you know, your special donations to the General Election Legal and Accounting Compliance Fund pays for some very important work. Vice President Gore and I are committed to our campaign's strict compliance with federal election laws. To make sure that every campaign expenditure is a wise and careful use of resources, our team of lawyers and accountants monitor every relevant aspect of the campaign. Your recent contribution makes that kind of invaluable scrutiny possible. In addition, your donation to GELAC means that our general election campaign funds can be used where they are needed most, listening to and reaching out to the American people. With your support, I believe we can reach our goals. We can help people to help themselves. We can increase our common security and well-being, and we can form a smaller, more effective government that is still a full and active partner in the life of our nation. Sincerely, Bill Clinton.
Bill Clinton, I'll say.
Yes, sir.
That's another keeper, as they want to say.
A personal letter.
Personal letter.
Yeah,
that's
signed
for
by
sure.
Bill Clinton.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
I'll say. Oh, yeah. No, I've seen programs where past presidents' signatures were on documents and become very valuable because it was something that they left the country, they left the whole nation in remembrance.
Yes. That's why each one of them write their own memoirs when they leave office. But now let me see, maybe I should talk to you about well, I talked about my services with the APA, and I'm still very active in the APA. In fact, I'm a trustee now. I have been the president. I have been a treasurer, and I'm a trustee now and an assistant treasurer.
Okay.
So I'm still very active, and I have traveled across that Atlantic Ocean a number of times.
Okay.
And I have met people over there in Africa.
Okay.
And I've still maintained friendship with them, and they come to this country. When they come, they stop by to see me.
Okay.
And when I go, all I need is my passport and my ticket.
Okay.
And the rest is on them. I don't have to spend no money.
Okay. Well,
I have an open invitation anytime I want to go.
Wow.
All I got to do is make a phone call and say I'm going to catch this certain plane.
Okay.
And that's it.
Oh boy.
So I consider myself blessed. I have traveled all the traveling I wanted to do. I have worked and retired from a decent job.
Okay.
I have worked in my church, and I served 4 pastors as secretary treasurer for 28 years.
Okay.
So I feel like I've had a pretty rich life. Besides that, I was on the board of directors with Wayne Metro Community Services. My husband and I set up the soup kitchen over at the school, and I supervised the soup kitchen, Mrs. Beanham and I.
Okay.
We bought
I can remember
food,
those.
and my husband and I prepared it, and a few more, Miss Lizzie Johnson.
Okay.
And we served those people.
Okay.
And then when that was over, it began to rain in the roof. The roof began to rain. The women was in there with umbrellas trying to prepare food.
Oh boy.
So they chased us out of the building, although I have a letter signed by Bedell stating that we would always be able to use that multi-purpose room, and our voting polls would never be moved, and the kitchen was ours.
Okay.
But see, as time goes by, they think you don't know. And when I knew anything, they had moved the polls way down Beverly Road.
Okay. Oh, wow.
And when I went to the city council and approached them about it, one of the council members, I said, the people over there in Woodside Square and in my end of town, I said, that's too far. I said, a lot of people walk. He said, well, let them walk down there over 2 miles.
Oh, gee whiz. Oh, boy.
Oh, it's in the records. It's in the records that he said it. But that's all right, because they're going to want to vote. They're going to want us to vote for them.
That's it.
And some of this will be remembered. See, because but what it is, it's a lot of people just ain't gonna bother to vote now. But when Mayor Lambert was at the APA building, and I brought that up, someone said, and I know who she was, to let them know, and they would furnish van to transport people to the polls, because it's important to vote.
It is very important.
You're giving up your citizen. You're giving up your right when you don't vote.
That's for sure.
Yeah, you don't have a voice if you're not going to vote.
Yeah, true.
And I'm going to vote. So I used to be a voter registered.
Okay, all right.
And I got out and went to house. So now, see, I'm still a volunteer in my community.
Okay.
And I know that I'm going to be starting in the late summer, to making my rounds to these homes
Okay.
and asking these people to let me have the van come and pick them up.
Okay. All right.
And pick up the families in Woodside Square,
Okay.
2 or 3 trips,
Uh-huh.
and take them to the polls. We can't tell them how to vote.
No, no.
But they
that's
got
it.
their own conscience. They know what's going on. They know whether they want to vote, which way they want to vote.
Yeah,
But
true.
at least they can cast their vote.
That's right.
Now,
That's
I'm
right.
not guilty of telling people how to vote.
No.
Because I don't want nobody to tell me.
Yeah, down the vote. That's
Because
right.
I know that
That's right.
I know how I'm going to vote.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't. And nobody's going to buy my vote either.
Okay, for sure.
So now, I was on the board of directors of Wayne County Neighborhood Legal Services for
Okay.
9 years.
Okay.
During that interim, I was vice president for 3 years.
Okay.
And the last year, I was the president.
Mm-hmm.
The first layperson that became president.
Wow.
There was the board consisted of 35 members. 15 were lay people and 20 were professionals.
Okay.
And they allowed me to be the president. And I mean, I had some tough going, but it prepared me because I was able to chair those meetings, and I didn't back down.
Okay.
And there was no, whenever things got too rough, I hit that gavel and adjourned the meeting if it was too tough.
Oh.
So,
well.
so I've made the rounds, and
Okay.
I've paid my dues, and I'm still willing to pay. But now, this letter here with the, I'm not going to read the entire letter, but this letter is from,
This one?
yeah, a lawyer that was, worked for the Wayne County Neighborhood Legal Services. He was a lawyer in street law program,
Okay.
and he had his PhD. His name was Kwame Calamara, and I received this letter January 22nd, 1987. I was getting ready to step down as president,
Okay.
and he was very concerned. I think you'll get that from when they gave my birthday party, because this letter was read in that at the birthday.
Okay.
So I won't go over
Okay.
it again.
Okay. For sure. All right. Well, you know, as a viewing audience, this is just one era of history of our city and our community, and a way to let you know that there are concerned working people in every part of our city who try to make our city better and who has accomplished in making our city better.
Yeah.
And the history of this city will go down through the books the same as any city in the United States. But being a small city, we would never be recognized throughout the nation, but we will be recognized in our own community. And I'm hoping that this will induce other community residents to pitch in and help make our city better. So we'll see you later at another time when we go to looking back.
Yes, because you know we had we had input in naming the director of public housing.
Yes, it is.
And I wish that you could talk with Christine Anderson and have her have some input, because I'm sure she knows many things that's happened since she's been there as the director, and she's a fine person.
Yes, she is.
And I wish her nothing but the best.
Yes, and I've worked with her also.
Yes.
And so I can relate to that also.
Yes.
And that will be one of our
Endeavor.
legacies that we're going to include into the history of Romulus.